What is this, some sort of dork outreach program? Welcome back to Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die. My name is Grant, you can call him Chip, and we are talking about episodes 23 and 24 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable.
And where we left off last time was, even though we reached the end of a two-parter, it was a big cliffhanger for something that's basically really almost like a four-parter. Yeah.
So let's get to it. We begin straight in the action. We left off with Jotaro shielding Koichi from the mouth bomb's blast. And that's exactly where we pick up, showing those last 2 minutes or so as a cold open.
Yeah.
Which goes right into the OP.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's in this shoe store. The explosion, once it dies down, the old man is just gone, completely vaporized, just like Shigechi was when he touched the doorknob. That brief explosion is enough time to give Kira time to escape.
Mm-hmm. And it's all the information Koichi needs to piece it together that, okay, we're facing a killer with a bomb stand. That's why Shigechi likewise left no remains. Mm-hmm. And so this begins an argument that will last this entire episode.
Yes. Koichi, he clearly can tell where Kira ran off from. There's a door ajar. You know, the clothes hangers.
They saw his wrist just a second ago.
Yeah, the clothes hangers in that closet he was hiding in are like, shaking back and forth from him just sprinting out of there. And Koichi just wants to go after the dude. There's a good chance they could probably catch up to him and punch him in the face. And Jotaro is basically like, no, we got to be fucking detectives. Also, we might blow up right now. So
yeah. He's urging caution and observation.
Yeah.
And so he demonstrates that there is value by just doing some straight up Sherlock Holmes shit. Like, from the look of that jacket, I know we're looking for a 175 centimeter tall man. That's about 5'9" for people keeping notes.
Yeah.
Also, he's unmarried because if he had a wife, she would fix the button for him.
Bro, what if he got a wife that works? I know it's Japan, but it's still a possible situation.
I'm reminded of the Sherlock Holmes story, I wish I could remember which, that begins by him deducing his client is a man whose wife does not love him. Because he is clearly married, but his hat is unbrushed. And if his wife loved him, she would brush his hat.
What the fuck?
But just looking at the jacket and its style and fabric, we also know that this 5'9" man has rich taste for designer clothing.
Yeah, all these lavender jackets. Jotaro is urging Koichi to stay very still because he thinks this little tank bomb stand is still somewhere in the shoe store with them.
If only because they know too much to be left alive.
Yeah.
So therefore, the little wheelie bomb must be nearby.
Yeah. And Jotaro is beginning to explain to Koichi, like, how to think like a detective. You got to feel with all of your senses real hard. When he's listing all the senses, like the Japanese characters for those are flying across the room.
So I guess Echoes is helping. Echoes is on Jotaro's side.
Yeah. And telling Koichi, like, you got to think like this now, otherwise you're probably going to end up dead soon.
But the subtext that is, well, not so much subtext because Koichi lays it out here in internal monologue, is he's certain that Jotaro's just saying all this because he does not trust him. He doesn't think... he thinks that he doesn't think that he and his stand are good enough in a straight-up fight like this.
Yeah, he feels like he's being treated like a little kid.
With a second-rate stand.
Yeah. And so Koichi is just talking out loud like, man, I know you think the stand's around here, but if it's not, we're going to look really stupid, right? And then a shoe that's on a shelf right behind Koichi explodes, and the little tank shoots out of it and lands
Stand
on
in a shoe.
lands on Koichi's face and starts like burning out on him. The treads are like tearing up Koichi's face.
And so Star Platinum comes out with 1,000 punches and then stops time for 1,000 more punches.
Yeah, and this is the first time in a while that we've heard the Stardust Crusaders Jotaro theme for when he's kicking ass.
Hell yes, it's very good.
Yeah.
And this series of mirages ends with like this little bomb tank getting spiked down through the floorboards. Who knows how far below?
Yeah. Like, no one has received this many punches except for Dan of Steel. Like,
yeah.
And even after being spiked all the way through the floorboards, like, the tank is fine. And we can see, like, Kira in a outside of the store striking a real good pose with this coat draped over his arm.
And he's just talking to himself about how proud he is about Sheer Heart Attack.
Yeah.
Which is the name of this sub-stand. His stand has a stand, essentially.
Yeah, so Sheer Heart Attack is the second type of bomb that Killer Queen can use. And yeah, it's just like a little wrist-mounted remote sub-stand.
The skull medallion on Killer Queen's left hand can slide off, and when it does, it becomes this bomb tank.
Yeah.
Which we don't see clearly until the reverse of that, when, you know, it is eventually reclaimed much later in this two-parter. But I think that visual explains their relationship much more clearly than any of the words used in this scene.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it out of order.
Yep. And so Sheer Heart Attack launches out of the hole it was punched through in the floor, and it's completely fine. It is an absurdly durable stand, so like even 3,000 punches from Star Platinum just put a couple little dents and cracks in it, and that's about it.
But the blows are so furious that should destroy anything from what we know about Star Platinum.
Yeah.
To the point that Jotaro's knuckles are bleeding from all of the punching.
Yeah.
Also, we should mention that Sheer Heart Attack is the name of the Queen album on which the song Killer Queen features.
Yeah.
Sort of the first Queen album that sounds like a Queen album. It's where they sort of became themselves.
Okay. Also, like Sheer Heart Attack, even though it's a little tank, it can kind of sort of fly. It could just
got ups. It jumps real good.
Yeah, it just launches itself somehow. So as the tank is constantly just like launching itself towards Jotaro and Koichi, and wow, someone is burning out right outside my apartment.
It's not me this time. Hey! All right.
So yeah, as this little tank is launching itself, Star Platinum grabs it and puts its fingers in each side of its mouth and just tries to rip. It just tries to split the tank apart. And while it's doing this, so Sheer Heart Attack can speak in very simple sentences with Kira's voice. And as it's
it pretty much exclusively says, "Hey, over here, look over here."
Yeah. And
it wants you to know it's coming for you.
Yeah. And as Star Platinum is trying to rip it in half, essentially, by grabbing both sides of his mouth, it just goes, ow, 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 ow.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's really funny.
It's so robotic. It's great.
Yeah.
This also does not work. Like, it's the most structurally sound thing we have seen in the history of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah.
Koichi is worried because, you know, from what we've seen of the fuse, clearly, like, touching this thing is dangerous. Grabbing it is sure to make the explosion go off, and it does. However, Star Platinum throws it at the very, very last instant, so the explosion comes just as the glass of the window shatters from the throw. Yeah. And the stand's fine. Like, all this ow, 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 okay, it hurt a little bit, but it didn't hurt, you know?
Yeah, it lost one of its treads, but that's fine. It's still got wheels to drive on. Jotaro's like getting a little worried now because like, well, shit, I've done basically every single thing my stand can do, and it's fine. It's a little dented.
So many of the big punches.
Yeah,
it's my thing.
I'm gonna break my bones soon. My hands just from punching so hard.
But he is determined. Quote: "I'm gonna destroy that alarm clock from hell."
Yeah.
Our heroes are still at loggerheads. They are still arguing, and their new argument is essentially their old argument, just in new clothes.
Yeah. Koichi really wants to help. He's trying to throw out the stand knowledge he has about, like, okay, if Kira is running away, this has to be a long-range stand, which means it wouldn't have much power, but it's so powerful that he must be really close by. My stand has a range of 50 meters. I can throw echoes out.
Yeah, let me just find him. And Jotaro's like, no, I've fought so many more stands than you. I know a long-range stand when I see one.
Yeah.
You need to keep echoes close and protect yourself.
Yeah.
So, again, the subtext here is Jotaro doesn't think Koichi's up to the task today.
Yeah.
He does not think the little man has it.
Koichi basically just goes, fuck this. I'm going to do what I want to do anyways. I need to help. This is a bad situation we're in. And yeah, he throws echoes out high into the sky. And yeah, he sees Kira walking down the street, walking away.
Glowing with his purple aura, of course.
Yeah. And he goes to like attack him, and Echoes reaches the end of its range, and Kira just keeps on walking. And that super freaks Koichi out. That a long range
for a stand
can
this
be
powerful to be even longer range than Echoes is. Oh,
yeah.
Oh boy. And so, like, the shock of this revelation and the strain of trying to push Echoes farther than 50 meters away, like, is visually represented by this radio circle filter that's like thrumming over Koichi's entire body, centered on his nose.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting way to show, like, fatigue and anxiety.
Yeah, I understand that visualization. I felt like that. And so, yeah, Koichi is getting really bothered by this, and the tank is starting to roll up onto the now open window of the store, and we see from its point of view very briefly that it sees things in heat vision.
Yeah, it's a heat seeker, and it turns out Koichi is a little hottie.
Yeah. He's getting so riled up that he is the hotter of the two living targets in this store now, which, Jotaro notices the tank just kind of course corrects slightly to go towards Koichi and is like, oh shit, I get it now. It's tracking based on heat.
So it lunges directly at Koichi. And now he's fucked, and everyone knows it because he is out of Star Platinum's very near range, and his stand is at maximum range. Neither stand can get to him in time to save him.
Jotaro does the one thing he can, which is he stops time and he grabs a piece of wood, some debris from the explosions, and with Star Platinum's super speed, scrapes it across the floor so fast it starts a fire next to him.
Yeah, so in the blink of an eye instant of stopped time, suddenly there is a roaring fire next to Koichi.
Or next to Jotaro,
or more properly, very next to Jotaro, that sheer heart attack's like, oh, I gotta blow that up instead.
Yeah.
So this huge explosion just rocks Jotaro's ass, and he is fucked up.
Yeah, like dozens of gaping wounds all across his body. He gets thrown across the room, crashes through like a table or a cabinet or something, and he is just out.
He looks like Dio being flung to Joseph's dead body.
Yeah, he looks dead now.
And so we get our sheer heart attack title card.
Yep.
Back in the action, Sheer Heart Attack is now lining up to continue the fight because so far we've just basically heard it say, look over here and ow, 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 ow. So now to hear this little robot voice say, that was not the sensation of human flesh exploding. It's a wild turn.
Yeah.
This is like the part where Silent Bob talks in every movie. Like,
yeah. And Koichi is just losing his mind. He's screaming and crying because he thinks Jotaro is just dead. And so this little man is trying to drag this giant of a man out of the store through the back as this tank is, hunting him down.
With his little T-Rex baby arms clutched under his armpits.
Yeah.
The leverage alone is not working for my little guy.
Yeah. As Koichi is, he heard Jotaro explain how the stand works right before he blew the fuck up. So, as Koichi is dragging him down this hallway, he flips a bunch of light switches on, which turns a bunch of lamps on, which are hot enough to briefly distract Sheer Heart Attack. It has to, one by one, crawl up the walls and just, ramp through them.
Because, yes, these incandescent bulbs are all hotter than body temperature.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a puzzle game. He's got to make progress while making hotter and or nearer heat sources to get blown up by this stand drone.
Yeah.
And the idea of a stand drone is an interesting one. This comes up as the explanation for how something can be so strong and so deadly and so long range. It's dumb as shit. It can't think. It can't do anything but just go in straight lines to the hottest thing it can see.
Yeah, this is a new type of stand that you'll see more and more in later parts. The autonomous stand, something super strong, super long range, but you just can't tell it what to do. It either has a will of its own or it's really stupid, and is like Sheer Heart Attack, where it can only do something like follow temperature.
So he buys enough time with the hall lights to drag Jotaro into the kitchen. Hooray, he saved. Kitchens are full of heat sources.
Yeah.
And also telephones. There's a telephone in the kitchen.
Koichi's just like, oh, fuck yeah, there's a stove here. I can just turn the burner on, and it's an electric stove, so it's going to take a while for it to get hot, so that freaks him out.
Electric heating element in the oven, too.
Yep. He sees a big container for water that looks like it's...
An electric kettle.
Yeah, an electric kettle. And it's just like, ooh, yeah, there's going to be hot water in this. Take this. And he throws it, and it's fucking empty.
After the humidifier incident, you cannot trust small appliances. They're never on your side.
No. He's just staring down Sheer Heart Attack as it's speeding towards him.
This is when I realized Sheer Heart Attack looks like a Super Mario Galaxy boss.
Oh, he does.
And in his current state, you've butt stomped him twice, and now, the wheels are off, but it's faster.
As Sheer Heart Attack is driving towards him, this is where Koichi, as we've seen a few times now, goes Super Saiyan.
He also gets one of the signature JoJo moments. This moment of clarity where I know exactly how to beat you now.
Yeah. But
before he can actually enact this plan, he has to explain his new outlook on life.
Yeah.
Quote, I can't figure out why I'm crying here like a wimpy little bitch baby with a bad case of the shits.
Yeah, that is an extremely English dub only line.
Yes,
but it's really good.
Koichi gets so crude when he gets badass in the dub.
It's super funny.
Anytime he's not in the midst of leveling up, he's so polite and kind.
Yeah.
So yes, his hair is once again shooting up. We are freed from the shackles of his hair mistake that we've been dealing with ever since he rescued himself from his kidnapping.
Yeah. So Echoes rushes at Sheer Heart Attack and just grabs it to slow down for a second, and then you can see Koichi is talking about how he has figured out the weakness of this stand, and we can see that Echoes' tip of its tail is starting to form some type of word. But before we can see what it is, we cut to Kira.
Kira is out on the street. He's walking around, having a grand old day, checks his watch. It's like, Sheer Heart Attack should have killed those fools by now. This is unusual.
Yeah, he looks at his watch. It's like, it's been 3 minutes. People are usually dead by then. That's kind of weird. But he's still confident in his stand's abilities. He's just like, well, I'll give it another minute or two. They'll be dead.
Because Sheer Heart Attack is unstoppable. It's relentless. And it turns out that's the problem. You see, Echoes has attached its tail bob as a big lump with the word sizzle on it. It's made a hot bob that is hotter than anything else and is dangling in front like, a carrot on a stick in front of a cartoon donkey.
Yeah.
Which is a comparison that in a minute or so, Koichi will make himself.
Yeah. And so now Sheer Heart Attack is just running around the room like a really confused Roomba. It's just like bumping into shit and doing little spinning in circles, and it's just been rendered completely ineffective.
Koichi's new hair, his fourth haircut, has solidified. It's much like his second haircut, but worse. I kind of think this is like his second best hair for me.
Yeah. And so now that Sheer Heart Attack is completely distracted, Koichi has the opportunity to just pick up the phone and call Josuke for help.
So he does. However, there is bad signal for some reason, like that this isn't a cell or anything. It's just very, very fuzzy, and they don't explain why.
Yeah.
They also don't explain why the stove is finally really hot, even though Koichi turned the burner off.
Yeah, for some reason it was just like, even though he just briefly turned it on, it's like, well, time to get hot now, even though he turned it off.
So these two things combine to make one, the message for what exactly the situation is and where exactly Koichi is to barely get through. Josuke and Okuyasu are not working with a complete picture of the situation as they rush to the rescue. And two, there's something hotter than the sizzle bob for Sheer Heart Attack to attack.
Koichi's barely able to get the message through before Sheer Heart Attack just like barrels through the oven and destroys it,
blowing off the sizzle bob in the process. So now that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah, and the sizzle bob getting exploded also hurts Koichi. Like he gets a big tear down his back.
Yeah, like it doesn't just blow off; it destroys Echoes' tail.
Yeah,
and severely injures Koichi in the process.
Yeah, and Koichi's barely able to escape the explosion himself with Jotaro, and so now they've gone through the back of the store and they're in like the road behind the shoe store.
So the relentless tank tread tick advance of Sheer Heart Attack is continuing. It's lining up his shot. Koichi tries to summon Echoes, and Echoes is gone, and he thinks, oh shit, my stand is dead. He sees Echoes a husk in the shape of Echoes Act 2 lying brown and broken, and thinks, oh shit, my stand is super dead. I'm a weak little baby boy all along. Like, dude, it molted again. This has happened to you before. Yeah,
and then right after Koichi says all that stuff, he's like, oh wait, I should be dead too if that's the case. Wait a minute. Oh, my guy's digivolving. Cool.
Into a little man.
Okay. Echoes Act 3 is what if Koichi, because the stand is a little guy now, the exact same height as Koichi. And so what if Koichi got into cosplay and he wanted to be Hierophant Green's little cousin?
Yes.
That is what Echoes Act 3 looks like.
Like, okay, Echoes Act 3 is a silver little man with giant boxing shorts.
Yes.
Just huge, baggy silver shorts with a number 3 on them, so you know. That's his name, Act 3. And running in patches over his body and a big line down this vertical center of his face are little patches of the bug carapace from the previous acts of Echoes.
Yeah, and it's like the same green as Hierophant Green. And he's got like the stoplight, the turning signal eyes like Hierophant Green had. Yeah.
And like the previous Echoes'.
Yeah, and the previous Echoes.
And he's a robot man. He makes little robot noises. He has a robot voice that asks for commands that he follows to the letter like a computer.
Yeah, Act 3 has a little bit. It has its own personality. He can have Koichi can have conversations with his stand. It's just that his stand is very robotic and literal, and also has basically it's the same voice as Koichi, just robotic.
And the personality is Koichi's opposite, in effect. Like, he's superficially very cool, which is something Koichi is not. He's not superficially cool.
Yeah.
But on the inside, Act 3 has no inner confidence.
Yeah.
Anytime something doesn't work, Act 3 is like, well, time to die.
Yeah. Koichi is very hyped to have a new evolved stand, and so he just points at Sheer Heart Attack, like, fuck it up, do it, do whatever that you do. And Act 3 just kind of sits there and goes like, okay. So he rushes into action. He basically just teleports almost. He is so fast. He does a cool little pose. He gets ready to protect Koichi and Jotaro by announcing he is activating Act 3's special move, 3 Freeze, which appears just to be a series of Star Platinum-like punches, rapid fire, and then Sheer Heart Attack just like rams into him and sends him flying.
But with special poses, the special poses are very important.
Yeah.
Koichi's freaking out. His brand new stand did a named attack, but still got thrown across the alleyway. And he's like, "What did you do?" And Act 3's like, "I did exactly as you ordered, man. What? What did you talk about? Say your prayers. We're dead. Fuck it."
Koichi just starts yelling at his stand while he tries to drag Jotaro away from Sheer Heart Attack, going like, I think my stand's broken. This sucks. You look like you evolved, but actually, I don't think we made any progress today. And as Sheer Heart Attack gets closer to Koichi, it suddenly just sinks into the ground.
Is just slammed into the pavement by some sort of invisible force. Meanwhile, at a street-side cafe, I think the one where Kira met his most recent hand friend?
Yeah.
Who hated her boyfriend?
Yeah.
Who is probably a better person than her, or else they're both shitty. But there, Kira's hand is slammed down onto the table and smashes a teacup.
Yeah. And he just starts freaking out. Well, like, why the fuck is my left hand the one that Sheer Heart Attack comes from? Like, why is it so fucking heavy? And a waiter comes by going like, asking like, is there a problem here? And Kira's wants to just leave real quick. So he's just like, I gotta go. I'll pay for the cup. How much is it? And as he's trying to pull money out of his wallet, his left hand gets even heavier and it crashes clean through the table and destroys it.
And we all know that if there's one thing Kira hates, it's making a scene. It's unwanted attention.
Yeah.
So he is scrambling, trying to, not be the center of attention. And he, in a moment of comic mischief, just tears all of the clothes off of this waiter.
Yeah. He's trying to put his hand on the waiter so he can like push himself up off the ground. But yeah, his hand is so heavy, it just tears the waiter's clothes off. And the waiter is not that fazed by this. He's just like, oh, geez, did I say something wrong? This is a normal reaction for saying something rude to a customer. And so, yeah, we cut back to Koichi, who's just like, oh, shit, my stand rocks, maybe. And he asks his stand to explain his power, and all Act 3 does is go like, well, I did, it's called 3 Freeze. 3 and free rhyme. That's how it works. It rhymes.
And then he asks, need I say more? Like, yes?
Yeah, yes.
I would like that.
Yeah.
So Kira is just like dragging his hand across the pavement, and like anytime we see the back of his hand, there's an indentation in the center in the shape of the skull medallion that is on Killer Queen's hand that becomes Sheer Heart Attack. So he decides to go back and rescue his stand because clearly something has gone wrong.
Yeah. And that is the cliffhanger for this episode.
And while watching this one, I figured Raimi would be somewhere in the ending by now, but I finally spotted her.
Oh, where is she?
She is sitting on the roof of the convenience store she hangs outside.
Oh, there you go.
Which goes by after Hazamada and before the Nijimura brothers, as the camera just goes down the main drag of Morio.
All right. Yeah, I was looking for her, but I could not find her.
So, episode 24, Sheer Heart Attack, part 2. So we begin with Kira, who still has about 100 pounds weighing down on his hand by his estimation.
He fucking hates being the center of attention. He also views this as being very humiliating, which is a thing he fucking hates.
He sees being unusual in any way as a humiliation in front of strangers.
Yeah.
Kira is the toxic normie that Hot Topic t-shirts warned me about.
Yeah. Kira's trying to take like back alleys to not draw attention, but he already drew some attention on the main street here with two thugs that have followed him into the alley.
Some street punks.
Yeah, street punks, who are probably the closest we've gotten this entire part to guys that are as muscular as dudes were back in Stardust Crusaders.
So they are mockingly, I guess, asking him if he wants help. Like, in the beginning, they seem like they are kind of worried about him, but as it goes on, no, this is clearly, they are taunting this man in advance of a shakedown.
Yeah. They're saying that both of them just lost their jobs. They're seeing this dude who's walking around with a nice suit, and it's pissing them off.
He tries to scare them off with just an evil glare and a music sting like they're dogs.
Yeah.
And this time it does not work.
Yeah. So the one guy like grabs Kira by the tie and like pulls him over and is taunting him. And then he kicks at Kira's feet, which makes him fall over. And the weight on his hand is so great that when his hand slams onto the ground, like a ton of blood just bursts from it.
Yeah.
Which the thugs think is very funny.
I think it's pretty funny, but
Yeah.
I know Kira. I have a little more context than they do.
Yeah.
As he's collapsed, as he's laying, prone and vulnerable, one of the thugs ties his shoelaces together.
Yeah.
What a disrespectful mugging. I hate it.
As Kira fell over, like his wallet fell out of his coat pocket. One of the thugs just starts pulling all of the cash out. And as he does that, all the fingers that are touching the cash just explode.
Because it's a money bomb. They got Killer Queened. And that summons the OP for this episode. And back in the action, Josuke and Okuyasu are rushing to the store.
Yep.
On foot, fast as they can. It's too bad that motorcycle got cut in half.
Oh, yeah.
It's too bad it's impossible to restore a motorcycle that gets cut in half. Nobody could have such a skill or ability. Come on, guys. Come on.
They barely even know what's happening, but they're rushing to the store. As we cut back to Koichi, Koichi notices that at the same moment that Kira fell and like hurt his hand, we see that sheer heart attack, like some blood just bursts from the cracks that were formed on it by getting punched by Star Platinum.
And in this moment of stillness, I guess,
yeah,
Act 3 takes the time to sort of explain itself and how... unlike the previous acts of Echoes, has a remarkably short range in exchange for this new power and new sort of positive autonomy rather than the constricted autonomy of sheer heart attack.
Yeah.
And the weight applied by 3 Freeze is inversely proportional to the opponent's distance to Koichi, as explained in textbook-style diagrams.
Yeah, it's like in a little physics book or something.
So the further Koichi is away from sheer heart attack, the safer he is, but the less pressure is applied. But if Koichi gets really close, then we're getting like tons and tons of weight applied.
Yeah, and the maximum range of this like weight that gets applied to opponents is 5 meters. So if you walk out of that range, all of the weight is removed from that object, and it can move freely again.
And Koichi is like, running through the math in his head. How close can I stand? How big is the blast radius? I'm going to do nothing. I'm fine where I am right this instant.
Yep, I'll just be as the maximum range I can. The amount of weight currently applied to sheer heart attack, it can still move, but just barely. And so it's very, very slowly just like cutting a little path through the concrete.
That's how relentless this thing is. It is churning through pavement in order. That's a good touch. It's good.
Yeah.
So this little lesson in stand mechanics is interrupted by someone coming through this side street. It's Kira. He's here. Koichi knows the face of the killer.
Yeah. Kira's hand is all bloodied. The very first thing Kira says to Koichi is just like, hey, I hear that Budogaoka Senior High is going to be opening a new gym. I'm seriously considering joining, getting a membership at this gym because clearly I'm not fit enough.
But also, it's really smelly and people are gross at gyms.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure. Maybe I'll just get some workout equipment at home.
Yeah, he said something to the equivalent of, also, I don't want to stay in places with people where guys lift dumbbells with the same hands they use to play with their dicks.
That's Kira, folks.
Yeah, that's Kira.
His approach is framed wonderfully. It's a POV shot from inside the exploded kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And Koichi is framed in like the tall doorway, while Kira is visible through the blown out window, just, his head and shoulders as he walks by.
Yeah.
And any sort of framing like that, even with no thematic resonance, just reminds me of the beginning of Citizen Kane, where you see like his parents and like the banker hashing out his future in the foreground, while Mr. Citizen is playing with his sled in the deep background outside the window.
Yeah. I completely forgot about this shot, and then when it happened, I was like, "Oh shit, that's pretty good." It's nice looking.
Yeah. But Kira is also the most dangerous kind of villain, one who does his homework. Like, he is estimating the travel time each nearby stand user would have to get here, and guessing that of all of them, Koichi would have used the time for his phone call to get Josuke and Okuyasu.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Yukiko lives closer, but she's not the sort of person who would Koichi would trust to save his ass right now.
Yep. So yeah, like a couple episodes ago when we saw all of the friendly stand users like gathered in front of the convenience store, and then we briefly, like just a moment later, saw Kira walk by, I think he was actually just spying on them. Yeah.
And the information gap is totally in reverse, because like, okay, Koichi has his face. That's it. Like,
yeah.
Jotaro might be able to put together a plan knowing they're looking for a 5'9" guy into designer brands, but that's not Koichi's thing.
Yeah.
And Jotaro appears to be dead.
Yep. Kira estimates he's got about 2 minutes before Josuke and Okuyasu show up, and Koichi's getting freaked out that, like, oh shit, that's the killer, very clearly.
But Koichi is still on that fucking Super Saiyan high. He is face to face with the murderer of both Shigechi and Reimi, two people very close to him all of a sudden. Because he's got such a big heart, that boy.
Yeah, he
and
does.
His righteous fury comes out in a huge flurry of blows. However, he is unfortunately outmatched by Killer Queen. And Echo's Act 3 gets a punch straight to the face and goes flying.
And of course, because Koichi goes flying, that also means he's out of the range of sheer heart attack. Although Kira uses this moment, this is where we actually see he uses this moment to retrieve sheer heart attack, I believe. And yeah, it just turns into a little gold medallion.
He explains the sub-stand system a little more, and yeah, we get the more meaningful visual of it returning to become the medallion on the glove of Killer Queen.
Yeah.
However, he doesn't stay there for long before getting resummoned, and now Koichi, in a one-on-one fight, is still outnumbered.
Yeah. Act 3 is asking Koichi, like, hey, I can, weigh these targets down, but I can only do one target at a time. Do you want me to do it to the user, to Killer Queen, or sheer heart attack? And so no matter what Koichi does, he's fucked. He's going to get attacked either way.
He's running through, like, all the equations in his head and is like, stop the bomb.
Yeah.
So Act 3 does a 3 freeze on sheer heart attack. Meanwhile, Killer Queen stomps on Koichi's neck.
Yeah.
So everyone is again in a stalemate. Everyone's frozen in place.
Yeah.
3 freeze is weighing down the bomb, and through weighing down sheer heart attack is weighing down Kira. But but Killer Queen is free to step on Koichi, keeping him pinned, but pinning himself because, if Killer Queen moves, then Koichi's free.
Yeah. So yeah, as everyone's kind of just stuck in this stalemate here, Kira is impressed by Koichi. He never expected anyone to have an ability that could actually stop sheer heart attack.
Yeah,
from just
in
blowing...
2 different ways.
Yeah,
like I bet Echo's Act 1 could have figured something out. I don't know.
Oh yeah, totally. But Kira just starts to rattle on about how he has had a bad day. It's been the worst day in his life.
Yeah.
He was humiliated. He had to pay for damages at the cafe for breaking the table. He got, some guys tried to mug him. He became the center of attention, which was just really humiliating and frustrating for him.
But Kira is still fucking Kira in all of this. Like, he insists they speak like gentlemen.
Yeah.
He asks Koichi if he has a Kleenex or a handkerchief handy, and when he says he doesn't, Kira provides him with one so he can, wipe his bloody face. Like, let's do this properly.
Yeah.
And he announces, quote, "I'm about to torture you to death."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess a Kleenex makes up for that. Sure, we're even. Cool.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Kira decks Koichi across the face, like punches him in the nose, and so his nose is just gushing blood. And he keeps telling Koichi, like, "Oh, you're bleeding there. You gotta hurry up and clean your face up. I only got like another minute to torture you before your friends show up." And then he steps on Koichi's hand, which makes Koichi scream. And while he's screaming, he Kira shoves his shoe into Koichi's mouth.
And winds up just like slamming his face on the pavement over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's brutal, and the whole time, like, Kira is drawing an equivalence between a supernatural moment of embarrassment and this severe physical beating. Like, these are equal amounts of pain to him.
Yeah.
And he truly believes it because he's that invested in image and propriety.
Yeah. He's also trying to, like, frame this as a lesson for Koichi and how to be a real man. And how to be tough in the face of resistance and stuff. And yeah, he's repeatedly bashing Koichi's face into the pavement, and then he'll take breaks to like wipe all the blood off of Koichi's face with the tissues, and then he just goes back to bashing Koichi's face into the pavement more and more.
I don't know how much of this bit is Kira's actual like twisted view of the world. He's got a tattoo on his forehead that says "damaged man." You don't want to mess with him. or just like cruelty that he's trying to hurt Koichi with his words that he doesn't fully believe. But like, he might think of this as a mentorship moment. Like, you're going to spend the last 30 seconds of your life as a real man if I have anything to do with it. A real man as defined by me, Yoshikage Kira.
Yeah. And after he's finished, like, bashing Koichi's face into the concrete, like, you see this shot where he stands up and he looks at his hand, and he's got a bunch of Koichi's hairs, like, in between his fingers because he just was doing that so forcefully, and he's, like, grossed out by it, and so he shakes all the hairs off of his hand. And as he's doing that, Koichi, still alive, he just mutters out, "Your name is Yoshikage Kira."
Hell yes! Because Kira's wallet is very slippery.
Yeah, it fell out of his fucking jacket.
For the second time this episode. Koichi is reading his ID. He knows his name. He knows his home address.
Yup.
And like, we know, Koichi, you have the ability to summon echoes in previous acts. Have Act 1 shout that name to the fucking heavens.
Yeah.
Make everyone in town know that name and address. Come on, buddy. Come on.
Yeah. Koichi is just barely, like, able to prop himself up off the ground, like, on all fours. And this part is so good. Yeah, Kira rolls Koichi over just a second ago to see that, Koichi was looking at his ID. And a ton of blood is just running down Koichi's face. He just starts taunting Kira, saying, "You think you're this fucking super tough, untrackable, perfect serial killer, and yet this shitty little 8th grader just figured out who you are. Name, address, fucking everything. I got your number, dude."
It's so good. It's so good. And, like, I'm ready for Koichi to die.
Yeah.
Because this would be an amazing... He doesn't. Everybody, please, calm down. He doesn't die.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for it. Like, this would be worth it.
Yeah.
Just to underline that point, he gets punched straight through, again, through the gut by Killer Queen.
Yeah.
Proving, once again, he's Koichi Jr. He figures out the impossible mystery that the villain is hiding to protect himself. and is about to deliver that to his friends, and he gets, well, not killed, but nearly killed in this case, by a fist puncturing in and out of his guts.
Yeah. Oh, do you mean Kakyoin Jr.? You said Koichi Jr. Yeah.
Koichi is his own father. No, yes, Koichi is Kakyoin Jr.
Whoa.
I've been saying it from the beginning, and remember, Koichi has an older sister.
Yes.
Kakyoin the MILF Hunter.
Yeah.
They have different dads. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. When Koichi is taunting Kira here, it keeps cutting back to Kira's reaction, and he's getting really fucking pissed off by everything Koichi is saying. And the last thing Koichi says before he gets Killer Queen's fists clean through his gut, Koichi just screams, "You're such a colossal dumbass." And basically says with his what Koichi believes are his final words, I'll see you in hell, you motherfucker. That's basically what he says.
It's so good.
Oh, man.
Just one note. If there was one thing I could change, I really think the most cathartic thing you can say in a badass line is calling someone a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And that might be just like the Princess Bride speaking, but it's so good every time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Koichi says, "I'll see you on the other side, you murder-happy son of a bitch." That's
exactly,
what he says.
see?
That's what he says.
Way better!
Yeah. And so, yeah, Kira is really pissed off as we see, like, the life fade from Koichi's eyes. And then we get the little title card in the middle of the episode, and it's just Act 3.
Back in the action, Act 3 fades away as Killer Queen holds Koichi's punctured body suspended 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah. And so as Koichi is just like dangling there, Kira notices that one of Koichi's shoes fell off, and he can see that the sock on that foot is inside out. Like there's a thread on the inside that's, outside now, and it's poking out. And as he drops Koichi's body to the ground, he just keeps staring at that inside-out sock, and it's bothering him so fucking much. And so even though he said just now, I only got like 1 more minute or something before Josuke and Okuyasu come up, he has to take time to fix this sock.
He has to. Like a vampire has to count the number of like grains of rice you spill. He has to fix this sock.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Josuke points Okuyasu to a shortcut through like a side alley to get to the shoe store they're going toward. So while Kira is fixing the sock of the dead child, if Koichi is Gohan, Jotaro is Goku. We've all just been waiting for Goku to arrive and save the day with the biggest of punching.
Yep.
And Jotaro has spent this entire fight passed out and has now woken in the moment of our greatest need.
Yeah, like just as like Kira has fixed the sock and put the shoe back on Koichi, like he is just inches away from Killer Queen's hand touching Koichi's body and turning his student badge into a bomb. So if anyone else touches him, they're dead too. And yeah, just as he's about to do that, this is when Jotaro stands back up. Goku's back.
Hell yeah. And Josuke's bringing the sensu beans. But so Jotaro, as just the master of badass smack talk, starts talking about Kira's watch out of nowhere, and then says, "I'm gonna bust it up." To be clear, by it, I mean your face.
Yeah, it's
not sure why I mentioned the watch. It seems kind of irrelevant, actually.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb that it kind of loops around to being cool again.
Yeah.
But, even though Jotaro stood up a second ago and threw a single, like, backhand punch with Star Platinum, Killer Queen blocked it. And Kira was shocked for a moment, but now he's getting really cocky and confident again because it's just like, wow, your wounds are so deep, I can see the trees behind you through them.
Yeah, that punch was like nothing. You are 2 breaths from death, okay? You might look cool, but you're fucking dead.
Yeah, and like Jotaro collapses down onto his knees, like coughs up some blood. He can barely, even function. And so Kira's just like, well, damn, guess I'm going to kill you too. This is an easy target. And so we see like in slow motion,
Killer Queen doing the big point to the sky to like with the right hand bomb to touch, do a big old bomb touch.
Yeah.
And then as he gets close, guess what? That weak punch was a feint. Star Platinum doesn't do weak punches.
Yeah. It's so satisfying because right as Killer Queen is about to hit Jotaro like in the back of the head with the bomb, the bomb touch, Star Platinum basically shoots out like a bullet and just decks Killer Queen across the jaw so hard.
Just a sledgehammer slam that summons, again, Jotaro's theme from part 3.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Like right after Killer Queen gets decked across the jaw, we see like Kira's face nearly caves in on itself and like tons of blood just gushing out of every part of his head. Kira was about to just collapse to the ground, just get completely laid out, but instead, Jotaro, now just standing up, grabs Kira by the wrist that's got the watch on it, and it's just being held up by the wrist. And Jotaro says, "Up close, that watch is tacky as hell, but that's the least of your worries right now, because I'm about to bust your face."
And he does. He busts his face.
Yeah.
Kira thinks to himself, it's so fast. It's like it stopped time.
Yeah.
And he says it so petulantly, like he sounds like he's going to cry.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very good.
This whole time, Kira's kept the cool, calm, collected, like gentlemanly voice, but when he's getting fucked up, he sounds like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Killer Queen isn't just getting rocked, it's getting like air juggled Devil May Cry style with punches. Like it's directly above Star Platinum. He's just punching straight up.
Under all of this punishment, of course, Kira falls unconscious. And Jotaro, just the exertion with his severe wounds, does the same shortly after, but not before thinking, hey, that Koichi kid, he done good. He has my respect too.
Yeah, and then that's when
I can't wait to see how Jotaro nearly dies for Okuyasu to gain his respect.
Yeah.
Maybe you should start liking these kids before you walk into the grave.
Yeah. So yeah, Jotaro also passes out right next to Koichi's lifeless body. And this is when Josuke and Okuyasu arrive in this little back street and see just the
bloodiest
scene.
Bodies that I've ever seen in their life.
There's tons of debris everywhere. There's 3 dudes that all appear to be dead with blood fucking everywhere.
A shoe store that got exploded 8 times.
Yeah, this is like one of the messiest stand fights in all of JoJo, just because everyone in the fight nearly dies.
So they are freaking out, you know, Josuke's best friend, his nephew. Who do I fix up first? Are they even dead? Is this a grandpa situation? Oh shit. Okuyasu is freaking out.
Yeah.
And Kira wakes up woozily in a moment to just see Crazy Diamond fixing his fallen foes and then says to himself, this is the worst day of my life.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it should be the last day of your life.
Yeah, he's barely able to muster the strength to like roll over and try to crawl away, and he's thinking to himself like, hey, I'm Yoshikage Kira. I've been able to overcome any adversity in my life, no matter how great. I have to escape from this too.
So as our 2 fallen heroes are like patched up, they're shaking it off. They're like, their wounds are fixed, but there's a bit of head fog that comes from being nearly resurrected.
Yeah.
Josuke gets up to this stranger he's never seen before and is like, if these guys are fucked up, this guy's probably a dangerous stand user. He might even be the killer. I don't know. But he starts doing like a terrified bystander act, like some weird shit happened, I couldn't even see it.
The shoe store
everybody
exploded.
got messed up. Oh god.
Yeah. Both Josuke and Okuyasu have like a shocked look on their face, just like, oh, is this just, you know, a guy, just a bystander? And Josuke offers, as Kira's like whining that like, I'm losing blood, I think a rib may have punctured a lung. Josuke's just like, oh hey, don't worry, I can just heal you. Kira makes a mistake and goes like, oh yeah, please heal me.
He thinks he's so convincing that he can get a free patch him up. And then Josuke remembers he is not a uniformed EMT.
Yeah, it's just like, why do you think that I could heal you? I can't even get allowed into pachinko shops yet. But you think I'm somebody you think I'm like a med student or something that can patch you up?
That's very suspicious. Wait a minute.
Yeah, so the whole time that was Josuke's plan to see if this person would just kind of accept that Josuke had healing powers because he's a stand user. Mm-hmm.
So Kira, in a last-ditch effort, decides to, as so many villains before him, karate chop his own goddamn hand off.
Not his head this time, but yeah. Yeah.
It's his left hand, so sheer heart attack can pop out and that be the center, and also allows Kira to go even farther beyond that long distance range.
Yeah, and like
dropping a turret in Team Fortress 2 or something.
Yeah, even if like the sheer heart attack gets weighed down by Act 3, it's not going to affect him. His hand isn't attached to his body anymore.
It's the perfect plan.
And while he's doing this, he does admit to Josuke and everyone else that yeah, you fucking caught me. I'm the guy you've been looking for. And when he chops his hand off and tears are streaming down his face from the pain, he's telling everyone that he doesn't care about winning or losing. The only thing he cares about is just survival. He's going to live another day to sleep peacefully and do what he loves, which is killing women and living with their hands.
Everybody needs a hobby. Some people need a new hobby.
Yeah.
But so sheer heart attack, the unstoppable stand is back. But Josuke's not worried. He doesn't think a thing of it because he heals the hand.
Yeah.
By punching sheer heart attack with the healing punch, and instead heals the hand that summons sheer heart attack in the same way that damage is conferred. And so the hand pops up off the ground and flies through the air, being pulled back toward the wrist to be reattached to through stand magic, much like I said weeks ago.
Yes. Yeah.
For how they could follow Okuyasu's hand to who we would eventually learn is a teenage delinquent named Akira.
Yeah.
This time they did it. Good job. They listened.
So yeah, now they're all chasing this floating hand through Morio to try and track down where Kira is running off to. And as they're running off, Koichi still remembers everything he read on Kira's ID, so he's just shouting to everyone, this is his name, this is his address, this is how old he is. They got all the info on this dude. Now everyone knows.
And Kira, the bloody mess that he is, comes around the corner and runs into his work friends,
yes,
who are clearly never inviting him to lunch again.
Yeah, everyone in the street is freaking the fuck out. What happened to your hand? Why are you so bloody? And Kira, just being the freak he is, just lifts up his stump that's super bloody that he's trying to stop the bleed by wrapping his tie around his wrist. And he just goes oh hey everybody, sorry I'm busy right now, and then he just keeps walking.
Well, he doesn't want to make a scene.
Yeah, he's just playing it off like normal. The gang continues to chase down this hand, which eventually leads them to Cinderella.
Yeah, the salon. And presumably, of course, Kira is trying to get himself a new face, a new identity. So as they come in, they see Dr. Aya lying on the ground, appearing to be dead. Again, she's not. Everyone takes a long time to die in JoJo's.
Yep.
And there's also a man slumped over the vanity in the back room, in the treatment room, also appearing to be dead. And this one, yeah, he absolutely is, because he ain't got no face.
Yep. Yeah, his face is gone. His fingerprints are also gone.
You're seeing the bone and muscle beneath the face skin.
Yeah. Jotaro notices that hey, the hand is in this room and it's still moving around. And it's not attaching to this dead guy. It's a completely different dude. And Kira is somewhere else.
And so Dr. Aya, with her last gasps, has some exposition to deliver.
Yeah, this dead guy here has a very similar height and weight and build to Kira. So Kira grabbed this dude, murdered him in front of Aya, and then forced Aya to give him this new face and fingerprints and identity. And then, before he left, just stabbed her in the throat. Josuke goes to heal Aya with Crazy Diamond, But Jotaro's like, no, fuck, don't do that. And so Okuyasu, just in time as you hear a click, Okuyasu uses the hand to pull everyone back away from Aya as she blows up.
Because Aya's the bomb.
Aya was a bomb. So if Josuke healed her, he would have blown up too.
So Aya is now dead, dead and gone. But meanwhile, the severed hand is inching through a side door in the office, escaping the office like a little evil thing from the Addams Family. And as they chase it, they spill out onto a busy street in sort of a square in the Morio commercial district. Yeah. In front of them is the big Morio Cineplex, and there's some more shops around them.
Yeah.
And the narrator basically summarizes the situation.
Yeah. Aya is dead, and Kira has a new face. He's going to take the identity of this man he killed, and so now we've kind of got this reset situation where we know about this killer, but he has gone back into hiding.
We've got a dead stand user, and all of the information that Koichi got, this name and address that he nearly died for, is not the name and address anymore.
Yeah. But that is the ending of Heart Attack Part 2. Kind of the end of this second chunk of Diamond is Unbreakable. 3
steps forward and 2 steps back in their hunt for the killer.
Yeah.
They know a lot, but not as much as they did 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Now, did you notice something about this final scene? A little visual Easter egg of sorts.
Maybe there's a lot of future characters in the crowd shot here.
Not that. No,
okay.
Fuck those people.
All right, what is it?
I mentioned that like the building across the street from Cinderella's back door is a movie theater.
Oh shit, is that Austin Powers?
Hell yeah, it is.
It's Austin Powers 2 being advertised.
Well, technically, there is a poster for Powers 2.
Powers 2. Yeah.
The deadly queen of the Austin Powers franchise.
Oh man. I did not notice that until now. That's funny. Oh, I should mention, I don't think if I mentioned this yet, but many episodes ago when we were doing the episodes where they're fighting Akira, there's that part where Chili Pepper draws like all of the power from the entire city's power grid, and like you get different shots of Morio where the power's going off. In one of those crowd shots, Kira is in it.
Oh, isn't he also visible in like the first or second episode by the with the mugger at the convenience store?
I think
because
so?
I know Rohan is there. A lot of the future stand users are there.
Yeah, I think he is. I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure he is.
Now, I don't know the Japanese release date for Austin Powers 2, but at least in the US, yeah, that came out June 11th, 99, so we are now we're in late June, so that's perfect. Yeah, that absolutely would be showing in Morio if the Japanese release date is anywhere near the US release.
I want to hear the Japanese dub of Austin Powers, too. I like the fight here. I like how messy the fight in this part is.
Yeah. Like this is a brutal fight. Like
like everyone gets fucked up.
It's interesting how Kira's 2 stands, his stand and his stance stand, lead to, as we've seen very recently, 2 very different kinds of fights. Because despite being a bomb, Killer Queen's bomb touch is very, at least as it's used, is very methodical, very strategic, very quiet in a sense. Surgical precision. But when sheer heart attack just gets left alone to do its thing, it's a bull in a china shop. Like it's all about collateral damage.
Yeah. I really like how much Killer Queen matches the needs and the way serial killers work, where Killer Queen is absurdly powerful when everything is like planned out and you're not going to get caught. The instant you get caught, Killer Queen's going to get rocked by anything that's just about punching. Like, Killer Queen can punch, but when it's up against Star Platinum or probably even Crazy Diamond, it will just get fucked up in close range combat.
And Morio is the perfect place for a serial killer to operate, where they have incompetent and self-interested police.
Yeah. Killer Queen's just one of my favorite stands just because of how well it matches its user and how he wants to operate.
And
also, like, I just really love the moment where Jotaro fucks Kira up.
It's real good.
It's real good. It's real satisfying to have the part 3 Jotaro theme come back one more time.
And it's very worth waiting until nearly 2/3 through the part, right?
Yeah.
We talked about how just introducing stands made Joseph take the back seat in part 3. But I think the scale difference, the scope difference of part 4 did that same thing for Jotaro. Like, when the problems are goofy things happening around a high school, killing someone with the force of a jackhammer that's not what the hero is anymore. So
yeah.
So now that we are ramping up to an actual deadly danger, both in pacing, like our new cast has had its time to become the main cast and have Jotaro become comfortable in the side, but it's also a thing that deserves that sort of response to finally be relevant.
Yeah. Also, I really like this 2-parter for it's a good part for showing how much more experienced Jotaro is. Just like the amount of extra knowledge he has about stands because he's fought like several dozen at least. Compared to Koichi, I don't know.
And there is that fine line where he is factually right about everything, but he's clearly wrong in not appreciating Koichi's abilities or contributions.
Yeah.
Like, anytime they're disagreeing about what is actually happening, yes, Jotaro is right, but he still could be seeing Koichi as an asset more than he is.
And now he knows.
Now he knows
to rely on the little man. As long as the little man gets really pissed off, he's going to do good. Also, I like how this, the big first real confrontation with the main villain is between, 2 side characters and not the main JoJo, because Josuke has a lot of abilities that would have made the fight a lot easier. And so just like having Josuke show up at the end, it's just like, oh man, the JoJo is here. Everything's way better.
But at the same time, like, oh God, there's so many tight balance beams, like so many tight ropes to walk in this, because it's also, as we mentioned, head to head, stand to stand. He's powerless against Killer Queen.
Yeah.
If he had just done the thing that he always does and wanted to do so badly to save his friend, he'd be fucking dead.
Yeah. With this part, and especially later parts, because like as we're recording this episode, like the first chunk of Stone Ocean came out, and I've been watching, going through that a couple episodes every day. Man, the later parts of JoJo, especially starting with 4, do a pretty good job usually of like balancing all these weird powers in a way where like they all have a lot of interesting interactions, and I don't know, like at some points, I understand why Araki will just drop something or just never bring something up. Because sometimes it's like, fuck, dude, how do you balance all of this shit and make it interesting? And there's so many weird interactions all these powers can have between each other. Like, it seems like a really hard balancing act to keep right.
So thank you all for joining us as we see... I mean, how much of what makes Kira scary isn't Killer Queen or even sheer heart attack? He's just as determined as his little talkie drone stand.
Yeah.
And so I guess the chase resumes next week, where we will be back with 2 more episodes. Adam Hart Father and Jankin Boy is coming.
Jankin Boy.
So I guess maybe we aren't continuing the chase. Maybe it's time for a little comic relief goof 'em up times.
Maybe.
We just had a stand user die again, one at a time. They're getting knocked off, man.
Yeah, there's only so many left.
What if Kira kills Slug Dad and Keicho looks up from hell like, finally, it was all worth it?
Yeah. Oh, finally. Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, until then, thanks for listening. Make sure to recommend our show to others who may have some interest in hearing about JoJo, especially if they've been curious about it for a while. You can find us on all the normal places.
Like you mentioned just a second ago, at the moment of recording, we are having like there is a resurgence of JoJo interest from the drop of the beginning of part 6.
Yeah, there's part 6, and very soon, actually, the spin-off manga about Josuke and Whole Horse will be coming out. The first chapter of that. There's also some other weird, like, part 6 spin-off, like, one-off from some other author that's coming out. So be really interested in seeing these weird spin-off things, too, that are being done by people other than Araki. Seeing JoJo through other lens of other people might be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, JoJo fans are eating good, and I'm happy to be bringing this bean casserole every Sunday.
But yeah, until next week, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
To be continued.